Okay, so this video is going to be focused on stock or factory display modern Peugeot. If I'm not modern Peugeot car, just generally um, Peugeot vehicles, especially the older ones. So um, my 1986 505 V6 has a clock here, a digital clock here, somewhere here, you know. So and I like it. It's very good. So for you, I know it was okay for up to probably 2016, 17, where the vehicle was parked unused for close to about 3 years. So and of course it was kind of face directly under the sun. There was no shade under it. So eventually, by the time I resurrected the car, the display has faded. So it's basically pointless now. It's hard to even see. Though when you start the vehicle, switch on ignition, the light comes up, but it's hard to read the numbers on the display. So I kind of acknowledge that it was as a result of the long park that caused it. Or maybe because it was directly facing the sun. I think initially I put something here, then maybe later that thing broke, got damaged. I can't remember exactly. So I've been trying to see if I can get another good one. But these classic or vintage cars, body parts, this kind of body parts are not that easily available, especially to get one that still works. So I've not given up, but yeah, that's about that one on the 505. Now, this 407 coupe, recalled when I got the car, within 30 days, or even less than 30 days, the automatic transmission failed, which was AMC's. It failed started to sleep. The carbon started sleeping. So I now decided that instead of replacing the gearbox with another AMC's, which will be much cheaper to do, I was like, you know what? I was going to just convert the car to manual, which was the original intention even before I bought the car. But then my intention was not to do the conversion at that time, but to use the car maybe a year or thereabout before I now eventually converted it to manual because the transmission was working well when I bought the car anyway. So I parked the car since that July or thereabout till I think it was January the next year. So basically like 6 months after that I now did the conversion. But before that December or January or before the 7th month, I left the car, parked the car directly under the shade. So like I said, I knew what happened on the 505, so I didn't want it to repeat on the 407. Which has a big navigation screen, RT3. So one day, I think it was like maybe the 3rd month, it wasn't even up to the 6th month at that time, the car was parked. I opened the door. Wow, without even switching on the ignition, because while I was doing that, every once in a while, I was coming, start the car, warm the engine, switch it off. Open the door, and I saw one big thing that just formed on the screen. Wow, I was very sad. And because it was obvious that that's the screen just on its own, even though it was not under the sun, nothing, just failed. So but then I wasn't sure what caused it, because there was all this car air freshener left in the car, the liquid one. So that one kind of poured on the floor mat. It leaked out and poured on the floor mat. I was there and kind of dried off on the floor mat. So I was like, could it be that affected the screen? But then it doesn't really make sense that that kind of liquid, because is on the floor of the car and later dried off will go and affect the screen. But, because I wasn't expecting that something that is under a shade, no sun at all, touching the vehicle could damage this display when it's not even, just like unlike the one in 505 that damaged because it was facing the sun. So I was like, okay, whatever. But eventually I ended up changing the display, the screen, because I tried to replace it with the OEM, and the price they were telling me then was it. After I've done the conversion, I left it like that. Then after I started using the car, that one resurrected the vehicle. The display we were telling me like 40, 60,000. I can't remember the exact figure. So I was like, rather than spending this much on a display that I barely even use, because the functions there are not necessarily important that much. So I was like, what? I better get the Android one. And man, these people are disturbing. So I decided to go for the Android, and then this display as well. This display on the instrument panel on the 747 started behaving the same way as well. Though that one kind of was behaving that way when I purchased the car. Once during the daytime you won't be able to see anything, but at night you'll be able to see just a little. So the display has kind of faded as well, but not as bad as the display here. So I can't remember which one I first replaced. So instead of replacing the instrument panel, I ordered that display only and replaced it with a new aftermarket one. Then put the Android, and since then it didn't matter how, even if I park the car directly under a sun, hours, days, weeks, each time I come into the vehicle, switch on ignition, they will be as bright as new, as in the way I left it. So so that is it for the 407. Now this one, now the 406, for years since I got the car 2013, been using the car. It has that multifunction display here, so, and no issue, nothing, until I think one certain time, for the very first time I left the car under a sun for like 4 weeks without driving the car, and then only for me to open the car, now saw that same thing that formed on the 407 display. It now started showing in the middle. I was like, damn, as in, what is it? So I mean, I just got tired, and I just couldn't bring myself to buy that display again, the stock one. I made an attempt to buy the Android one. I ordered one for someone in Lagos. I was lied to, saying that that one is for 406. By the time, only for me to try to do the installation, I realized it wasn't for 406, it was for 407 and the rest. So it couldn't work with the car wiring system. And because it took a while for me to receive the item and then do the installation, I received the item, like I placed the order. It took about 3 days or so for it to land. And then when I took the delivery, I was okay. If I'm going to do this, it has to be like weekend, because I was busy with my daily work on weekdays. So that same weekend, I needed to do the installation. The 7 days have passed. So I trusted their words that it was exactly 406. Only for me to do the installation, it didn't match at all. As in, it nearly crashed my BSI unit of that car. So that one became a waste, and I have to put back the stock faded or damaged display. Now this one, park the car. This is 607 phase 2 V6. Park the car, and it was covered, as in I covered it with this car cover, Yeah, I could say, yeah, kind of under a sun though, but it was covered, so it's supposed to reduce the heat or direct sunlight into the vehicle. It wasn't even up to 4 weeks. If I don't even know how long I didn't use the car. Open the door. Now found this again. Look at it. As in, damn, as in, gosh. So, ever since then, I mean, this is what they have been showing. Once this thing comes out, that's how my phone 7.0 started. You just keep deteriorating to get a point, you won't be able to see anything anymore. Right now, if I switch it on, yeah, you can see. But then I knew it's on its way out, But I kind of noticed it before this thing formed. So the time I packed it even under a shade, and maybe 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, I switched on the ignition. I came in the car. This thing didn't form, but when I switched on ignition, it kind of started showing in the middle. It's not fading, but it's changing colors. The color was no longer as was supposed to be. So I was like, you mean this one too? So, but now it has become obvious. Likewise, this one here. This one is just like the 407, but not as bad as the 407, the one I replaced. Once you park the car under a sun, let's assume you go to somewhere and you don't have any parking, you don't have any place to park the car under a shade. Then after like 1 hour, maybe it's directly under the sun, you come back to the car, open the door, switch on ignition. Wow, this place will just the entire figures that are supposed to show will be very faint. You won't be able to see much. You have to now leave the door open, put on the AC, drive out. Then after maybe depending on how long, 30 minutes drive with the AC, then it will start coming back to normal. So, however, this Android rear view mirror, which I mounted on the car, I think it was either 2018 or 2019. Ever since then, it didn't matter. Even while all these things were happening, it still stays like this. Nothing. Doesn't fade. It doesn't do anything, form anything. So this is my conclusion. I will have to point out these things out so that people will literally understand. I don't think I will be buying any stock display anymore, because what I've realized is the material used back then to produce all these display, they don't actually withstand long packing. That's my conclusion. Because remember, it didn't matter whether I left the car under a sun or under a shade. It will happen. Once you don't use the car for quite a while, yeah, the display is going to fade or form this nonsense at you get a point, you won't be able to see anything anymore. Or it starts to look very horrible. Like my 406 now looks now very, very horrible. So I do not see the need for me to now buy any stock display, knowing that it is going to happen again. So why bother? However, the recent aftermarket one that I purchased and mounted has proven that, yeah, they work. Because like in my 407, like I said, the one I put here and the Android display, it doesn't matter whether, even if you like park the car for 2-3 months under a sun, under shade, nothing happens to them. That's why this one here, it doesn't matter, whatever, man. So let me see if I can show you. I was even thinking of doing a review of this display, at some point, but I don't even see any need for that. As you can see, this one, it's hard now to see stuff on it. It's coming up. So I don't. From the look of things, this one I might end up putting Android here. I can't see myself bringing, unless I get it for free. I don't want to spend money replacing this display, putting back something I know that will happen again. So if that be so scared to park the vehicle without using it, so what's the point? In my own case, yeah, there's no how I'll be able to use all the vehicles at the same time. So one or two will have to be left for a while without being used. So it means I will have to keep changing them all the time. No, it makes no sense when I know there are ones that work. So unfortunately, I will be swapping in aftermarket. In this case, eventually it has to be Android. I know it might not have, I might lose some of the functions. Like the MP3 plays very well. Here, this radio plays very well. So kind of the CD loader at the back. It kind of act up sometimes. Sometimes you start the vehicle, as it's playing, all of a sudden to switch to FM, from FM back to CD loader at the back. But I realized once if I use only this one, the CD MP3 here, or played any CD here, use the FM here, it hardly happens. Once I use the CD here, not but once I start using that CD loader, one day you just start behaving that way. So I might end up putting Android, and but if I can find Android that can work with this without I don't know. Like there was a time they were selling all this mirror display that you just not necessarily an Android display, just to mirror what is on your phone to show here. In that case, that makes sense. But then these days, what you find is the one that will now take over both your radio and this. You won't be able to operate your CD loader in the boot anymore. Well, I hardly use that one anymore because of how erratic it can be sometimes. So likewise, my process, I'm finding it difficult to go back to that display, the factory display. I don't see the reason why I should do that. Yeah, it should be cheaper, but personally, I don't think I'll wait, just to avoid going back to the same issue. So this is still booting, so but the point is it's working well. I'm kind of patiently waiting for it to conclude the booting. I think it's kind of updating itself or something. So that's the point. So if you have more than one Peugeot car, especially produced from the 2008 or 2010 downwards, cars like this, the ones I mentioned, don't bother to buy the stock one if it fails. I will advise against it. Even if you still want it to look exactly like this, if there's an aftermarket on, you're better off. Just get an aftermarket display, the new one. The reason why is they've improved a lot on the quality of the display, so they hardly have those issues anymore. Doesn't mean they can't fail, but those issues will not have to experience them anymore. You can see this one, So there's so many things here. Yeah, this is the front camera, this is the rear camera, so it's quite good. It has been here since 2018 or 2019 if I'm not mistaken, and like I say, it serves very well, but I barely use it anymore except when I'm reversing. It's still Android display, but I don't use all those apps there. So that's what I'm trying to say. How are you guys? I'll just get an Android or whatever. If it's not Android, just get an Aftermarket. But if you really want it to be stock, because one thing about some of these non-stock displays, it's not every function on the car that you've been getting on the stock display that you get anymore. Some warnings will not come up, you have to live with it anyway. That's what I do. Even my 407 display that is high quality, still it's not everything that can show that was showing on the old display that comes up, but it's still, for me, good enough. So okay, I know I'm kind of rambling anymore, but I think I'm done. No, that's radio. Okay, so that's I just wanted to explain, so that if you are in this kind of situation on yours, you now have your options. Yeah, you could still put your normal display, factory one. If that's the only car, use it constantly, then yeah, you may not have the kind of problem I'm having. The only issue usually on mine is because I don't use the car like constantly every day, each of them. So once you buy the car for a week, it doesn't matter, under a sun, under shade, expect you start having issue with display, stock one. Okay, so till next video.